The United Kingdom, a nation renowned for being one of the pioneers of railways. A nation that's known for being one of the innovators of steam and diesel. A nation rich in its railway history, lasting for 200 years since the formation of steam locomotives, and the nation's first ever public railway, the Stockton and Darlington. Long ago, before railways had been built, there used to be served by horses and carts to transport goods and passengers to certain destinations. The conditions of this mode of transportation were rough, and some of the soil on the trails can easily be washed away by some rain. But that would all change in 1825 during the Industrial Revolution, when George Stephenson had opened the door for two of his novel creations, a railway and a steam locomotive. The railway will be the first of its kind in Britain, which connects between Darlington, where the collieries are located nearby Shildon, to the port of Stockton by the River Tees. It'll be a more efficient way to carry coal from the mines and to carry passengers at around the stations. When the Stockton and Darlington opened on the 27th of September 1825, it had become an instant success, and it became a game changer for revolutionizing the transportation industry. The big steam-powered machines are a much more reliable mode of transportation than the bumpy horse-drawn carts that the people used to take. Upon its opening, the railway had expanded, with more lines being added across the northeast of England. This will also be a revolutionary stepping stone for the industry, as this will soon pave the way for more railways being built around the country as other regions had followed suit. Following the success of the Stockton and Darlington Railway, there was the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, the first railway to exclusively rely on steam-powered traction rather than horse-drawn carts. One of the best-known locomotives that had operated on that railway is the Stephenson's Rocket, one of the most legendary locomotives in history. Over the years, we'd seen so much history of the railways that had shaped Britain, from the chuffing and huffing noises of a steam locomotive from back in the day to the more modern and fuel-burning diesel locomotive. Railway traction had grew for centuries. Several people since the Industrial Revolution had built many of their railways as they laid the foundations for the growth of the industry. People like George Stephenson, an engineer of UK railways who had started it all, his son, Robert Stephenson, another engineer who had built some more revolutionary railway projects, and the inventor of the famous Stephenson's Rocket. Isambard Kingdom Brunel for the formation of the Great Western Railway, and William Henry Barlow, who designed and built an impressively large roof for the St. Pancras Station and train shed, and a brand new sturdy Tay Bridge after the old one was destroyed, along with other substantial railway projects that he had built. Throughout history, railways such as the Great Western, Caledonian Railway, the London and North Eastern Railway, the London Midland and Scottish, the Southern Railway, or the Great Northern Railway all played a big role to the system and made their everlasting impact by serving many of the regions around the nation. Locomotive designers and engineers like Sir Nigel Gresley, Charles Collett, or Sir Henry Fowler built some of the most legendary locomotives in history, like the LMS Patriot, GWR Castle, LMS Coronation, LMS Black 5, LNER Mallard, or the LNER Flying Scotsman. Many of the locomotives were still memorable today as they were back then. Along with that, they also built several other steam locomotives from different classes, which they too can be a fan favorite amongst us rail fans.
go to Birmingham and they're taking me on to cruise. Send me back to London.
There are stunning art posters that depict many of the trains that had traveled along their routes, or some posters that depicted locations like some lovely seaside villages from the Great Western Railway. Many of them gave passengers an exhilarating sense of adventure and fun. There were events that are significant at the time in Britain's railway history, like the Big Four Grouping Act in 1923, the nationalization of British Railways in 1948, the introduction of high-speed trains, the Irish Mail, and many more, as well as some tragic events that had occurred, like the Tay Bridge disaster in Scotland or the Dr. Beeching cuts during the end of steam. But for all of its ups and downs, the railway still continued to grow stronger than ever before. Many of the railways had made ends meet or made a profit from serving several regions around the country as they transport goods and passengers toward many locations like Bristol, London, Manchester, Cardiff, York, or Glasgow. And of course, we don't want to forget that there's fiction based on the railways, which they had also played a big role in Britain's railway history. There's the Railway Children book by E. Nesbit, the Hogwarts Express from the Harry Potter series, and of course, the Railway series books by Reverend Wilbur Awdry, featuring the talking trains on the island of Sodor and its most popular children's icon, Thomas the Tank Engine. Today, as it was the case with many of the evolved railways around the world, we live in a world where we have modern commuter passenger trains or commercialized freight trains. As steam had already came to an end in Britain 57 years ago, back in 1968, diesels had already become the norm as a reliable source of power, which is more economical and sustainable for the industry. However, preservation is also valued and held dearly by railway enthusiasts since the railway preservation movement, especially towards steam locomotives by saving them from scrap. Whether you walk around a museum to check out some historic artifacts and historic locomotives on display, or to visit a heritage railway to ride behind the old trains and see them in action, or book yourself a ticket to some rail tour and ride behind a big and beautifully restored steam locomotive that can reach up to a speed to around 100 miles per hour. In fact, there were several significant landmarks of heritage railways around Britain, such as the Talyllyn Railway in Wales, the Bluebell Railway, the Swanage Railway, the Severn Valley Railway, the Bowness and Kinnell Railway in Scotland, or the world-famous National Railway Museum in York. Many of them are reminders to people about their history. There were all great attractions for everyone to experience, most especially for families young and old, or for school trips. And so the years go on and on. The railways for the past 200 years have made plenty of achievements, innovations, opportunities, and plenty of people who had contributed to the growth of the industry. So here's to 200 years of British Rail, and let history and its legacy be kept alive and still keep on chuffing along as they did centuries ago. Happy anniversary to the Railways of Britain.